All right, this is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe near the end of 1991, like now, on the 9th day of Kislev. The 9th day of Kislev was the day that the second Rebbe of Chabad, his name was Dvar, was born, and he passed away on the same date. What is it, 50 something, 52 years ago, 52 years later or something. I have to look and see. But he passed away on the same date, born and passed on the same date. And the day after that, the date after that, the 10th day, was the day that he was released from prison, which we'll talk about why he was in prison, but it was basically the same reason that the first Rebbe of Chabad was imprisoned, and that was it was a war against the teachings of Hasidut. Okay, regarding the second Rebbe of Chabad. It's called the middle Rebbe, because everyone thought that the third Rebbe of Chabad, that Tzemach Tzedek, he was the Moshiach, because he had all the qualifications of Moshiach. All the Rebbes of Chabad had the qualifications of Moshiach. They knew the whole Torah. They're from the house of King David. They encouraged people to do the commandments, etc. Anyway, they thought that they were going to be the Moshiach. Good. So, but he was called the central Rebbe, the second Rebbe of Chabad, Emtsai. Baal Yom HaHilel, this is the one whose birthday and the day of his passing we celebrate on this day, the 9th day of Kislev. So we find something new, that the day that he was born and the day that he passed away are the same date. That's unusual. Also, there's something new by him, because that was also by Moses, it said it happened. The same day he was born as him. Also, another thing is, Shemiyad, the day afterwards, Yud Kislev, that's the day when he was released from prison. Shabo, there, Nishtachar and Beit Asurim, he was released from the prison. And he was released from prison, and a little bit less than a year after that, he passed away. So in other words, he was released from prison on the 10th day of Kislev, and the next year, when he was going to celebrate that, as he was on his way, he passed away. On his way to pass. He had been by his father's grave. In any case, so now we have to understand another thing about what are exactly the Rebbes of Chabad and what is Moshiach. So 2 minutes. Judaism depends on people. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, then Moshe. Between them, there was also Noah. Noah came before Abraham. Right? But Noah wasn't the beginning of Judaism as such. He was the beginning of mankind. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, these people defied the whole world. They defied the whole world. Not everyone has the ability to defy the whole world in a positive way. There are people that can defy the whole world and can conquer. The conquerors, whatever is it, Attila the Hun, or who knows over these people. They defied the whole world also. There were people who conquered, but that was not for positive reasons. That was for selfish reasons. And also these other religions, they want to take over the world. Everyone will go to heaven on their way, right? And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their whole thing, beginning with Abraham, was to make the world realize there's a creator, and that this world is tremendously precious, valuable, happy, blessed. If people just act in the proper way, then God will react in the proper way. But it depends on the whole world. That's the job of Judaism. But usually there's only one person in every generation that gets this point, one or two. Everybody else is thinking about themselves, going to heaven, going to earth. Rewards here, rewards there. How I can get the most power, pleasure, whatever, out of this world. And Judaism comes to tell how you can give to the Creator the most, what you can give to the world. So there's not too many people that get this point, and that's the idea of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, all the great leaders, all the great prophets, right? The prophets went against all the people. And in our generation, it's the Lubavitcher Rebbe's, the Rebbe's from first Rebbe's. They're trying to teach the people. There's a lot of other great rabbis also, but the Rebbe's of Chabad are trying to convince the whole world of this. Okay, so so that's the Rebbe. So everything that happens to one of these Rebbe's, they're unusual people, is like everything that happens to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Every detail is very important because it's important to the whole welfare of the world. Al Pi Yedua, like it's known, that the holidays of the year have a connection to the Torah portion of the year that we read them, that occur in those times. So it's moving. So it must be that this Shabbat, which is Parshas Vayetze, that's what we talked about before. Yaakov left Beersheba, went to Haran, and he made a ladder, and etc. with the stones. And Parshas Vayishlach, that's next week's Torah portion. Shematchilin, that we begin to read on Mincha, that a holiday of redemption, and this year falls on the first day of Parshat Vayishlach. Let's see, when does it fall this year? We have Yud Tet Kislev also. This year, Yud Tet Kislev falls on Shabbat. That'll be next Shabbat. Next Shabbat will be Yud Tet Kislev. Yud Tet Kislev is the holiday when the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. He was also put into prison, and it was under the shadow of death. And miraculously, he got out of prison. And also, it was pretty much for the same reason, to stop these teachings of Hasidut in the world. So, in any case, these two monumental occurrences from these two monumental people, the first Rebbe of Chabad and the second Rebbe of Chabad, which is Yud Kislev, Tet Kislev, that's when the second Rebbe of Chabad was released from prison, and when he was born, when he passed away. And Yud Tet Kislev was when the first Rebbe of Chabad was released from prison. They obviously are connected to the Torah portion of that week, which is Parshas Vayetze, that this week, and next week is Vayishlach. Both of them are talking about Jacob, Yaakov. We can find something especially connected to the Yom Hilula V'Yipal HaGeula, to the day of the passing away and the birth of the second Rebbe of Chabad and the release of both the second and the first Rebbe's of Chabad. Okay, so from the Torah portion, we can learn something about this. That there has to come out from this some sort of a teaching that is relevant to our time, to our generation, and to the period that we're in now. What are we in? What type of period are we in now? The main thing that's going on in the world is not the Israeli war with Hamas or what's going on with America or what's going on in the world. The main thing is the Moshiach. All of this is just a preparation. This like warming up before the orchestra starts to play in harmony together. No, it's just total confusion. Mashiach is going to make order out of the whole world. Kafisha Duber, like it's spoken many times, that now, Kavar Siyamu, we've already finished all of the necessary work we had to do to bring Mashiach, and all we have to do is just accept Mashiach coming. Everything is already done. The Jews have suffered enough, they've prayed enough, they've hoped enough, they've been frustrated enough. There's been too many unanswered prayers and too many tears and too many disappointments. And we've gone through all of it and we're still believing. Now, that's it. Now we have to accept Mashiach. We have to accept. What does it mean, accept Mashiach? We've got no problems, but we make our own problems. So we have to change our mind sort of a little bit in order to realize that it's possible to have a world where there aren't any problems. Just connect to the truth. You're being created by God. God loves you. You're special. And don't pay attention to the destroyers of the world. The novelty in this is that what's a birthday? The second Rebbe, this was his birthday, and the day that he passed away of a tzaddik. And when they fall on the same day, like the rabbis say, by Moses says, "Ben Mea Be'esrim Shana Anuchi Hayom." I am 120 years today. The Gemara says, why does it say today? Because it says today I have filled my days of my life. Said Moses, exactly 120. The Lamedacha, the teacher, Shakodesh Baruch Hu Yoshev, that God sits and He fills exactly the years of the tzaddikim from day to day, from month to month, like it says, is Mispar Yamecha Amalei, like it says, on the days of your life, I will fill. You'll have a full life, 100% full in Mishpatim. It's one of the blessings in the Torah in Parshat Mishpatim. We'll get to that in a couple of weeks. Hapirush, what does it mean? Simply is that by a tzaddik, there is the idea of completion, that God fills the days of his life. The days of his life I will fill. What does it mean? That every day will be round and full. Agul means a complete number. Miyom Holedato, from the day that he was born until the day that he passes away, ad lediuk shel yom echad, exactly one day. Everything, exactly fulfilling the purpose that he was created for. Every day. Okay, I mean, it's pretty well known by everybody that people die, right? Even though we're all alive and things are going pretty good, but the probabilities are very great that we're not going to live forever. And even though everybody thinks that, they say these were the days we thought they'd never end, right? Everybody thinks that their life is going to go on, but it doesn't. Why does God make such a thing like this? So on one hand, we can say, well, it's a punishment because of Adam. On the other hand, we can say that it's not a punishment. God, instead of God creating every person to live forever, so God creates a lot of people. And because there's people die, so there's also reincarnation. So essentially, people really never die. The soul separates from the body, but the soul is eternal. But because in Judaism stresses that the main thing is the body, this physical world, and what we do in the physical world. So everybody has a certain amount of time that his soul is in this particular body to do what you're supposed to do in order to fix up the world. We're not talking about going to heaven or going to this. That's a side product. The main thing is to fix up the world. We're here in order to do a certain job in the world, and you have a certain amount of energy, which is called time, to do this. And this is even the most righteous people. It says that there are certain people that only die because of God's curse that He made because of the snake. People die. But if it wasn't for that, people wouldn't die. So it says the number of your days you're going to die, you're going to live, are going to be full. By tzaddikim, they're full. We have to understand, what's so great about this, that a person dies and lives on the same day, same date. What's so special about it? Shlemos avoda as a tzaddik, a person lives and he does what he's supposed to do, and then he dies. What's so special that he died on the same day? It says, because it shows on a certain completion. Like a ring, the beginning goes to the end. It started on this date, it comes back to the same day. The completion of the service of a tzaddik. A tzaddik, like we said, is a person that only thinks about is, why am I created? Why is God creating me? I have to fulfill my obligation to God. He is Hari Shlemos Baruchnis. This is a completion, not just temporal in time, but also in spirit. And that he completes the number of days of a year, that's a spiritual thing. What difference does it make if he passed away on September the 3rd and he was born on January the 1st? What difference does it make what day he passed away on? The main thing is to spiritually do what you're supposed to do in your life. Like it says, Chayat Tzaddik, the life of a tzaddik, they're not physical life, but it's spiritual. That this is the whole life of a tzaddik is three things: faith, fear, and love. Faith in God, fear of God, and loving God. Fear and love of God is what he comprehends. Faith is what he doesn't comprehend, which that's the main thing. So automatically, moving, it's understood, that by a tzaddik, yochola, l'chaora, leo shlemos, there can be a completion of service of God, even when the years of a person are not complete from day to day. Like we see this by many tzadikim, that they pass away is not the same day when they're born. And it also really doesn't depend on the length of their life. Sometimes a person can do wonderful, amazing things in a very short period of life, right? A very short time. We see it very commonly. Also in the non-Jewish world, you can see there are people that they live very short lives, but the lives are filled with monumental things that changes the whole world. Yeshlomar, we can say, so what difference does it make how long a person lives and that he passes away on the same day that he's born? Why is that so important? The most important thing is what he does in the time that he has in the world. Yeshlom, we can say, Shleimas Avodas HaTzadik, the completion of the service of a tzaddik is when this completion is spiritual, also includes completion in physical. Shleimus Bizmana Avodaso, the completion in the time when he serves. The years and the days, physical. Like the rabbis say, Yodea Hashem Yomei Tamimim. God knows the days of the pure ones. Kashem Shehem Tamim, just as they are pure, also their days are pure and their years are pure. Tamimi means pure, but Tamimim also means complete, tam. What's so important about that a person passes away on the same day that he's born? The reason is very simple. Since the whole purpose of serving God, through Torah and the commandments of a Jew, that this is the service of a tzaddik, the completion of service is expressed in the fact that he refines and he purifies his physical body in a way that there's nothing separated in his life that on them that the service of God does not reach. In other words, every aspect of his fiber of his being is permeated with the service of God. It was the same thing with Abraham. It says that Abraham concluded, he came to the 613 commandments of the Torah 400 years before the Torah was given. How? Because he meditated and thought into his body, into his, and he thought every aspect of my physical body is here to serve God in some way. So therefore there's nothing that separates and there's no delay or interruption. Shum hafrada bein nishmata, there's no separation between the soul and the body, and being spiritual and physical. Elakala pratim, but all the details in his life are permeated with the spirit of his soul. Until the Gashmi's physical becomes secondary and surrendered, harmonious to the soul. I mean, you can see this very clearly. A lot of times we have musicians, right? They're great musicians, pianists and celloists and violinists, especially. Excuse me. Where you see that their hands move in a way that is not, it's not logical. It's somehow or other their bodies are totally devoted and flow with the music. And sometimes you can see two pianists, for instance, and they play the same piece, and they're fantastic, excellent. They don't make any mistakes, but one has some sort of a feeling. You hear it, the music, the beauty of it, and you could cry. And the other one you hear, you say, "Wow, he's really good." But you hear the person, you don't hear the music. Sometimes you hear the music, you don't hear the notes, the beauty. But what's the point is that their body becomes totally surrendered to, in this case, the music. So it is also with godliness. It's possible for a person's physical body to be totally surrendered to the Creator of the world, creator of music, creator of everything. In other words, even though that's the idea of the Jewish people, even though the life of a tzaddik is not physical life, but it is spiritual, but nevertheless the completion, the wholesomeness of a tzaddik is when his life, spiritual, permeates and is expressed in physical. Until Shechayav Abasar, and until his physical life is like just like a vessel. And even more, it's a continuation and an expression of his spiritual life. Hey mitachtin, they unite with his spiritual, the body unites with his spiritual principles. But often in a way, she'em nasim davar echad mamash, that they are done one thing completely. Adam echad, he becomes one person. You see also this, there's sometimes these videos where they show, a person that he passes by a sick person, a poor person, and he has to help him. Or someone is in trouble, and he goes and he helps the person. Why? Other people pass by, they don't help. But this person, kindness is a thing that motivates him. There are other people that honesty motivates them. They are honest people. Usually those are the people that everybody hates the most, but those are people, honest people. Right? There are people that they just can't bring themselves to lie. Why? Because their body is motivated by a spiritual feeling, their conscience. Sheshleimuta, the spiritual, in fact, even more, a person's spirituality is expressed mitpatet, and it expresses itself completely in the physical. Often in a way, shebachayim abasarim, that in the flesh, as ein shum davar miuchad v'lo chaser davar, there's nothing that's missing or separate from his completion of his spiritual life. Achayim basarim shelo. They say a story, I don't know, it's always repeated. One second, let me see how this goes. No, we're gonna have to do this tomorrow. Well, maybe not. Adarab, exactly, even more. Not just that the body follows the soul, specifically only by means of the physical body can be expressed the elevation of the soul as it's supposed to be. In other words, the body becomes a challenge, and when the soul integrates the body with the soul, in other words, your life is according to your conscience, your spiritual ideals, and then that's the true purpose of it. That's the true purpose. There is, I remembered, I learned in university, I learned philosophy in university. I don't know what that's worth, but anyway. And it wasn't spoken about at all, the personality of the philosophers that spoke. What type of a person was Plato or Schopenhauer or whatever it is, Leibniz or these other guys, whatever it is, in their private lives had absolutely no relevance whatsoever to their philosophical ideas. And so it was also in politics. What type of a person was Thomas Hume or Machiavelli or whatever? But their personal lives had no bearing whatsoever on their ideas. Karl Marx, these people, they say, "Oh, this guy, he was a terrible person." What do I care? His ideas were great. The ideas were wonderful. We don't care about, right? In Judaism, it doesn't work that way. The whole essence of what Judaism is how it expresses itself in action, in deed, in the world, in how you react to the world, how you react to people, how you complete, how do you say, soul ideas and your, the cosmo conception of the world, does it really come out in your physical things? What happens if things don't go the way you want to? What happens when somebody is better than you succeed? Do you go into jealousy and anger and depression and aggression? So it says, ideally, that's the idea of Judaism, and especially holy Jews, only by means of the body can the true essence of what Judaism is, the ideas, be expressed. And therefore, Kodesh Baruch Hu, God sits and he fills the days of the tzaddikim from day to day, because the whole idea of completion of a tzaddik, it permeates in a physical way in the physical world. And that brings a completion to a spiritual, because the whole idea of this world, gadar, the definition of this world, physical world, is time and place. And it's divided into days of the year. Like it says, when God chose his world, he chose the beginnings of the months, right? The beginnings of the months. And when he chose Yaakov, as he said, there's the beginning of the months of Geula. It says that when God created the world, he created the world in the month of Tishrei. That's where Rosh Hashanah is. The Jewish people were the only religion in the world that celebrates the creation of the world, when God created the world. And that's what we celebrate. Rosh Hashanah. That's in Tishrei. But also there's another Rosh Hashanah. In Judaism, there's two Rosh Hashanahs. What? Passover. Passover is the first month. When you look in the Torah, it says on the seventh day of the month, on the seventh month of the year, we know the seventh month of the year, that's Tishrei. It's the first day of the year, but it's the seventh month because you count from, so it says when God created the world, so he chose Tishrei as the beginning of the, that's when he created man. When he chose Jacob, which was like 2,000 whatever years later, so therefore he said, no, Nisan is going to be the beginning. The years, this is connected to the world, but the beginning of redemption, this is connected to a different time of the year. This is Bachar Yaakov. This is when God chose Yaakov. And the whole idea of year, months of the year, the beginning of the physical year, the beginning of the spiritual year, and the idea of year, Shana in Hebrew, is the same words for change. Shinoi, Malashan, Mishaneh, Makifa, Bakolelet, it encompasses in it all of the different changes of time. That's what a year is: summer, fall, winter, spring. And therefore, it expresses the completion of service of a tzaddik, just like they are complete in this, that also the years are complete, that God sits and he fills the years from day to day. Every single day that is used in a complete way by means of refining the garments of that day, although every moment, every challenge that comes up in that day, as ha'i chasara, and if there's missing one day, there's missing, it says, a garment for the soul in heaven. The days of a person are set for him according to the garments that he will need to fix up. Also, that says the garments mean in heaven, and also the garments are also referring to the raising of the dead. Also, the completion of the tzaddik is spiritual and physical equally. The completion of him and the days of his life, physical, they're drawn down. I'm sorry, they're one continuation, one continuum, and they are all complete. Just like the day that Tzadikim are complete, also their years are complete. And Yesh Lomar, and this is where we're going to start from tomorrow. We'll take this from tomorrow, God willing. See this, which we have to go. Yeah, okay, good. This is where we'll start from tomorrow. Here. Yesh Lomar. Good. And now we will learn the Yom Yom for today. Here we go. Stop share.